In a world where every second counts, where lives depend on timely deliveries, one industry stands tall: the air cargo industry. Imagine a scenario where vaccines, critical medicines, and life-saving supplies must reach their destination swiftly and safely. This is where supply chain solutions become the unsung heroes, ensuring that these vital payloads reach their intended destinations on time, every time. From the runway to your doorstep, air cargo keeps the world moving forward. But there's a flip side to the story, a very critical and an important one: the carbon footprint left behind in the skies. Ever wondered about the magic behind those roaring engines and swift flights? It's all powered by aviation turbine fuel, making global deliveries possible. And yes, burning jet fuel does create a carbon footprint. In fact, air cargo emits up to 47 times more CO2 per weight unit than sea freight. But how can we overcome this challenge? As the industry strives to establish its sustainability efforts, let's delve into the pivotal roles key industry players are undertaking to achieve net zero emission goals in this series, Future of Transport: Innovative and Sustainable. We bring to you in partnership with Edmonton International Airport.
At Edmonton International Airport, YEG, we can handle any size of operation, including oversized, heavyweight, and industrial cargo within the Port Alberta Foreign Trade Zone. Our IATA CEIV pharma community has expertise handling all multi-temperature controlled shipments, including pharmaceuticals, perishable products, advanced agricultural, and high value-added products. Access Canada, the US, and Mexico through a multimodal transportation hub that includes major highways and proximity to 2 national rail lines. This makes YEG a key hub between Asian and North American markets. Sustainability drives every aspect of our cargo business and on-airport ecosystems, making Edmonton International Airport your best choice for investment to move our industry forward to a net zero future. Visit flyeia.com/cargo.
Clearly, air cargo is a powerful industry. It has the power to save around 2.5 million lives annually by delivering temperature-sensitive pharmaceuticals, keep factories functioning by transporting spare parts, and keep the world running by connecting people. In fact, not just air cargo, but the aviation industry as a whole is a very powerful industry. And with power comes responsibility. The responsibility of reducing carbon footprint and moving towards a sustainable future. So, to achieve that, what should we do? Should we stop flying at all?
What we do is connect people and unite the world. And one of the great casualties that people don't talk about from COVID was the loss of global connectivity, the loss of global perspective. I stood on stage at COP26 and said the world is a more dangerous place when we're not flying. We should do it sustainably, but we should not stop traveling and connecting with each other. That makes the world a better place.
Go say.
To reduce CO2 emissions and eventually achieve net zero emissions, we first need to learn how to calculate CO2 emissions. Yes, it is a complex process, and this is where a solution like IATA CO2 Emission Calculator can help.
IATA CO2 Connect is an emissions calculator developed with real airline data based on industry-approved recommended practices. Developed with input from over 20 airlines and major aircraft manufacturers, IATA CO2 Connect is powered by the IATA recommended practice per passenger CO2 calculation methodology. This tool processes comprehensive data including fuel consumption and belly cargo data provided by airlines, cabin configurations from a fleet's database, passenger load factors from the IATA traffic database, flight durations from schedules, among many others.
Let's take a closer look beyond the surface of carbon emissions in the aviation industry. Up in the skies, aeroplanes not only emit CO2 but also release nitrogen oxides, a compound with a damaging impact on the atmosphere. Unlike ground-level emissions, nitrogen oxides at high altitudes lingers longer and travels far, contributing significantly to atmospheric pollution. But the story doesn't end there. Nitrogen oxides also plays a role in the creation of ozone, a potent greenhouse gas, further aggravating climate change. Now let's shift gears and hear about sustainability's significance from an economic perspective.
We're blessed at YEG, Edmonton International Airport, to have this massive land asset, the largest land of any airport in Canada. And in doing that, we have a responsibility to develop it appropriately. And so being responsible is important, not just the environmental side, but the social and governance side. So as an organization, building on the shoulders that came before me, we've always focused on making sure we're doing things that are right for the long term, generational impact. And so organizations focused on doing things right, the right way, and doing things that are appropriate for the community we live in.
Why is sustainability not just a buzzword, but a crucial pillar for our economic future?
It's vital that the world reaches net zero emissions. It's equally vital that the world drives economic development. And in many ways, they are synergistic goals. If you think about the net zero transition, the very reason the world is undertaking the net zero transition is to avoid the buildup of physical risks and to protect lives and livelihoods, which is indeed a core development objective. So in many ways, they are intimately linked, intimately synergistic. That is one truth. It is equally true, though, that a poorly executed net zero transition could compromise a variety of objectives that are vital for economic development.
But we spent so long focused on the need side of the coin that I'm not sure we've flipped it over to see the opportunity side of the coin. And the $7 trillion a year that has to be spent will not come if there's not $7 trillion probably of profit attached to it. And so one of the things we can learn from technology is that we have to define not only the need, but the opportunity. Policy moves on need, business moves on opportunity.
At the 77th IATA Annual General Meeting and World Air Transport Summit held in Boston, USA in 2021, airlines pledged to achieve net zero carbon emissions by 2050. But how is IATA holding up on that promise? Let's uncover the key strategies propelling this ambitious goal. Let's imagine planes fueled by recycled cooking oil or captured CO2. Sustainable aviation fuels offer a revolutionary solution, drastically cutting CO2 emissions compared to regular jet fuel.
SAF is Sustainable Aviation Fuel, so it can come from biosource. It can be refitting of a refinery with biofeedstock. It can be H2 based, green H2, of course.
IATA predicts that SAF could drive about 65% of aviation emission reduction needed for net zero by 2050.
And by the time we get to 2050, we have more than 100%. So if it just follows well before we get there, if it just followed the same curve, we just have to invest and drive the cost down.
Now, how are airlines fueling this mission?
You also look in the last year, and it's Qantas, it's United, it's Emirates. We have all started climate funds. Of our $400 million fund, we have $100 million out the door now, or executed or committed into SAF projects in Australia, in the region, and the United States. So I think we are out of first gear. I think plants are opening around the world. Policy, as I say, is changing significantly. Many airlines now have major products that we are giving to our customers, particularly corporate customers and freight customers.
Let's dive into how some of the key players in the aviation industry are actively embracing sustainable aviation fuel to chart a greener course for the future. DHL Express is leading the charge, committing to using 10% SAF by 2030, showcasing the industry's determination for widespread adoption. Lufthansa Cargo is empowering businesses to choose eco-conscious options by offering SAF alternatives, promoting a lower carbon footprint in air cargo operations.
we are committed to the topic of sustainability because this is going to be part of our journey for the long term. The entire Lufthansa group is committed to reduce our CO2 footprint, but the biggest one is SAF and compensation. We announced of a new add-on service called a Sustainable Choice, which the customers can use, be it on 1 kilo of cargo or one shipment towards buying SAF or Sustainable Aviation Fuel on bulk.
Meanwhile, Cathay Pacific sets a high bar with its aim for net zero emissions by 2050, highlighting a steadfast commitment to long-term sustainability goals. Boeing joined the green revolution by purchasing 9.4 million gallons of blended sustainable aviation fuel for its 2024 US operations, signaling a shift towards a more sustainable future. Emirates Airlines partnered with Airbus for a groundbreaking demonstration flight using 100% SAF in an Airbus A380 aircraft, reinforcing the potential of SAF as a viable alternative across the aviation spectrum. As we explore aviation fuel advancements, let's hear more about it from the perspective of aircraft manufacturers.
We're supporting the ambition of IATA and ICAO for net zero in 2050, and we've got several pillars that we're adhering to. So first of all, the new generation aircraft, like the one you can see behind me on the background, the A350 freighter. So this is the first new generation freighter coming into the market. And then the big element is sustainable aviation fuels. So our aircraft can fly with a 50% blend with sustainable aviation fuels today, and we're working to get that up to 100% concentration by 2030.
We also made decisions to grow our SAF capabilities as early as 2018, the investment decisions 2021, and we will grow to 1.5 million tons SAF capability by the end of this year. So clearly also here taking a view that there is the need for these type of solutions to help decarbonizing also this segment.
The future of aviation is buzzing with innovations as electric and hydrogen propulsion takes center stage, reimagining the skies for a greener tomorrow. Imagine cargo planes powered by electricity. Companies like Airbus and Aviation are pioneering electric aircraft for short-haul flights, promising significant reductions in emissions and noise pollution, especially in urban areas. Airbus is leading the charge with its Zero-E concepts unveiled in 2020, showcasing different hydrogen-powered designs from turboprops to blended wing bodies. What is the goal? To have the first zero-emission commercial aircraft in service by 2035, fueled by hydrogen.
And then we've got what we call the disruptive technologies, which is why we're spending this 2 billion euros in R&D every year. And that's really to push the boundaries. So in that portfolio, you've got things like open rotors, integration of open rotor technology onto our aircraft, hydrogen combustion, but also fuel cell. So we have an ambition to have a hydrogen-powered aircraft in the market by 2035.
Edmonton International Airport, or YEG, is at the forefront of hydrogen fuel technology, aiming to support the transition to a net zero aviation and transportation industry. Edmonton International Airport is using its vast space to develop the infrastructure required to accommodate hydrogen fuel technology and bridge the future to a net zero aviation and transportation industry. YEG's Airport City Sustainability Campus is home to YEG's Hydrogen Hub, providing an ecosystem to pilot emerging hydrogen technology and unlock many global partnerships.
So how do we best look at how we plan, how do we develop, how we do things that are sustainable in the long term? There's many examples, whether it be from cogeneration on our airport, Alpine Sun, Airport City Solar, will be the world's largest solar farm at an airport to produce green energy, hydrogen, which we drive. I drive a hydrogen car every day, which is really exciting to do. Our partnership with Toyota are coming together on 5,000 commercial vehicle challenge, getting 5,000 hydrogen vehicles and hydrogen dual fuel in our region. It's just immense what's happening here. And it's a whole holistic ecosystem of trying to do what's best for not only the environment, not only for communities, but for the whole ecosystem that is aviation.
YEG is testing hydrogen-powered vehicles, collaborating with companies like Toyota Canada, and air products to introduce fuel cell electric vehicles and expand hydrogen fueling stations. Collaborations with international partners like the Japan Overseas Infrastructure Investment Corporation and Mitsui also facilitate technology testing and innovation at the airport. Furthermore, YEG's collaboration with Zero Avia aims to explore zero-emission flights and decarbonize airport operations. And in 2023, Zero Avia successfully tested a hydrogen engine on their Dornier 228 plane, signaling a bright future for hydrogen propulsion in aviation. With electric and hydrogen technologies taking flight, the skies are set for a cleaner, quieter, and more sustainable aviation landscape.
Air cargo goes beyond engines, focusing on operational efficiency for maximum impact. Picture this: improved air cargo traffic management streamlines flight paths, slashing fuel consumption and emissions and ensuring quicker cargo deliveries.
So from the digital tower part also, we look at efficiencies, how we gain efficiencies, particularly in the airport arena, airport area, from arrivals, departures, but also ramp management. I read an interesting statistic recently from Boeing, for ramp management, if you're to save 10 minutes on a turnaround annually over a fleet over a year, that's going to give you an extra 200 flights, which is remarkable.
But wait, there's more. Continued modernization sees airlines upgrading to greener aircraft models, making significant strides in fuel efficiency for a cleaner sky. Let's talk about going light for a mighty impact. Testing lighter materials and designs boost engine efficiency and reduces emissions, a top priority for aircraft manufacturers. According to IATA, newer aircraft models cut emissions by 15 to 20%, making an impressive 80% improvement in fleet fuel efficiency over the last 50 years. This progress reflects ongoing innovation in engines, aerodynamics, and lightweight materials.
Businesses can also address their air cargo footprint through freight forwarder offset programs, which balance out emissions from transported cargo. Industry organizations like IATA also encourage airlines to invest in high-quality carbon offsets, such as planting trees, supporting renewable energy, and promoting sustainable aviation fuel.
A lot of airports have solar, but we can actually do very large-scale solar. Hydrogen. This region is blessed with being Canada's first hydrogen hub, the Edmonton Regional Hydrogen Hub. And that hydrogen hub is allowing us to look at things like decarbonizing our heating. That's really important because hydrogen is not only fundamental in propelling vehicles or in space heating, but it's also going to be fundamental in the future of flight. In medium-range flight, we'll end up on likely hydrogen aircraft 2040, 2045 and beyond.
According to International Air Cargo Association or TIACA, offsetting is gaining traction, with 43% of companies using these mechanisms, driven by mandatory schemes and increasing climate awareness. And it is not just airlines. Airports are also on board, contributing significantly to our net zero emissions journey. An Air Cargo Sustainability Insights report by TIACA found that 71% of airports are transitioning to green buildings and 79% are actively tackling their water management issues, while 80% are focusing on reducing their noise footprint. What's more, airports are investing in solar power, wind farms, and other renewable energy sources to reduce their reliance on fossil fuels.
And I also think most of the sustainable progress will be on the ground. We will be choosing different ways of personal mobility which are far more sustainable than what we know today. So the trick of building a 21st century airport is, as technology is moving so quickly, how can we create an infrastructure design that's flexible enough to incorporate those moves in technological advance that haven't even been conceived yet. So it's a big design challenge, And I think we can make a huge amount of progress. I mean, obviously, there's enough solar energy here in the UAE to be able to power most of the city most of the time. There's even a way of storing energy efficiently by cooling water and storing it underground tanks so you can use it at night to cool the buildings. So there's plenty of advances that we are already looking at in great detail, and some that we've already put into practice, of creating a massive impact on the reduction of our carbon footprint.
Well, the story doesn't end here. As industry experts say, even though the path towards net zero emissions is challenging, it is only possible if the minds are united.
If we all agree that aviation is necessary, that civil aviation is necessary, that it's something that really drives economic growth, which I profoundly believe and think that, connectivity in all its forms is literally what has determined the evolution of our species throughout the ages. Yeah, so if you think that all forms of connectivity, including aviation, is that important, and you then obviously understand that to do that successfully in the future, we also have to respect the planet and cease emitting CO2. If the minds could only unite around those two things, then I think that there would be little doubt that we could achieve this by 2050.
No one actor can, and no one solution can solve that challenge. So we need to work together with regulators, with industry bodies, to really find a framework for the deployment specifically of sustainable aviation fuels. That's going to drive half of the reduction in CO2 by 2050, okay?
This is clearly an effort which will need the whole industry to cooperate. What is positive to note is that from a fuel supplier's perspective, like Neste, capabilities have now been developed to produce SAF. That of course needs to continue, and for that we need at the same time a clear demand outlook, meaning policies, meaning also the commitments from the airline industry.
And so collectively in our ecosystem at this airport, we're really working together with like-minded partners from around the world and locally to create that future. And not everything we do is going to be right, but we'll learn, we'll fail fast, and we'll move forward. Doing that and creating that living lab is critical to drive this industry forward.
This is only the beginning, and there is more to come in the Future of Transport, Innovative and Sustainable series, an air cargo series delivered by Edmonton International Airport. Stay tuned for the second episode.